Oh, Dan, I
Yes.
got scammed again with the same stupid scam today that I've gotten before. Actually, it was really dumb. The funnier part of this is my neighbor got the same scam on the same day, just two houses down, which was interesting. But at the point of what I want to ask you this morning, what I want to ask you is, have you been sort of scammed in kind of an interesting way?
Well, so I almost, and I think one of the, and this is a really interesting topic. It's coming up a lot because there are so many scams out there, and people often wonder, how is it that we get pulled in? So here I am. It's 1996. I'm a newly minted psychologist, and super fascinated by stuff like this. And
Wait,
I'm
wait, wait.
in
I can't help me. I can't help myself. Dan, where were you? What
New York
city?
City.
Picture it. 1996, New York
Yeah,
City.
yeah,
This
you
is
got to
like all
picture that.
Sophia, Golden
Yeah.
Girls.
So it's New York City, and it's 1996, and I see a game of it's the cups and balls. It's not three card Monte, it's a cups and balls. And I've studied this, and I immediately recognize there's the guy on a cardboard box flipping cups and balls back and forth. And there are two people watching, and I'm pretty sure, like I know for certain that this person is the Confederate. He's the guy who's in on it. And there's someone I think that they're trying to scam who then leaves. And I'm like, this is fascinating. I'm going to go up and approach this. And I get a little closer, and the guy immediately kind of draws me in, and he's like, "Hey, just you know which one it is?" And I'm like, "No, no, 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 I'm not gonna." He says, "Oh no, you know which one it is." No, no, no. He goes, "You know, just tell me which one it is." And I like wave. I like my arm almost lifts up without me trying, and I wave in the general direction of one. He goes, "Look, you're right." And he holds up his arms. He goes, "You would have won money." I'm like, "No, no, no." And he goes, "You know what? I'll make you a deal. You don't even have to put money up. You just point to the right one and I'll give it to you." And he quickly does it without me saying anything. And he goes, "Just point to the right one and then show me your money. You don't have to wager anything." And I like, "You mean all I have to do is like it's that one?" He goes, "You're right. Just show me your money and I'll pay you whatever you got." And I felt my hand reach into my pocket. And I felt myself grab a hold of like the $60 I had in my pocket, and it's 1996, and I'm a brand new psychologist, and $60 is like all the money I have for the weekend in New York. And I almost pulled my hand out of my pocket with the money in my hand. And had I done that for sure, and at that moment, he must have seen something, and boom, he was gone. The Confederate was gone. He was gone. Like they disappeared as if they vanished into thin air, as if the entire thing was a dream, because they just poof gone. And the cardboard box flew to one side, and he flew to the other side. I don't know. It is like people wonder, how do you get pulled in? I knew everything about what was going on. I knew it was a scam. I knew who the scammers were. I knew each person's role was. I had read about this. I had studied it. And still, I came within seconds of losing again $60 in 1995 money. Like by today, like especially for someone just out of grad school. That's that. Like anyway. We wonder how it is that smart people get pulled in. I like to think of myself as a smart person. But it's we get carried along by our emotions. And so much of what Gail, what you and I talk about with people in our offices is like how to lean into some emotional content, but also how to recognize when we're not when our emotions are interfering with our clarity of thought. And in that moment, I got caught up enough in this that my emotions interfered with my clarity of thought.
Interesting. Yeah, I will say, my experience this week, even though I knew it was a scam when and I picked up the phone number looked legit. I knew it was most likely the scam because again, I've had this and my heart still raced. And I
Mhm.
knew it was a scam and I had the wherewithal to respond in an
Mhm.
appropriate way, but my emotions were up and I still like took a
Yeah.
lap because even though I know it's a scam, they're really good at it and our emotions get up. And if you're not really watching for it, you can get swept away in
Yeah.
they
Can
creep.
we, Michael, can we put in the notes some resources for people to utilize to capture, how to deal with if you're being scammed? The best feedback I ever got once was that anything legitimate will give you the opportunity to talk to other people. And if they don't want you to talk to someone else, or they don't want you to communicate with family, friends, etc., it's almost certainly a high probability. It's almost certainly it's a scam, because like no legitimate outreach is going to want you to not talk to your accountant, or not talk to your family, or not talk to someone else about it. And that's, to me, one of those giveaways. But Michael, if you'd add something to the notes, show notes about that to help people out, that'd be great.
For sure, we'll do. Yeah, and a lot of times it's this is you got to act quick. Like
Yeah.
offer is going to disappear or
Hmm.
whatever. So for sure,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll find some of those resources and share
Yeah,
those.
but those folks have gotten highly skilled at knowing exactly how to play people, and they're the ones who know the rules and know the playbook, and we're the ones who don't. And so,
Mhm.
the fact that their skills can overwhelm our skills makes sense.
Okay. So if you wonder what you've stumbled into, this is our Veritas Views Am I the Asshole edition. And we have a show for you today based on something that Michael's found on the internet. Dan Kessler and I are clinical psychologists, and we're here to, I don't know, give you some thoughts and opinions from our professional perspective, maybe entertain along the way a little bit. And we're glad you're with us. Michael, what do you have from the internet?
Yeah, so neither Dan nor Gail know what I'm going to throw their way. This is my little joy is I get to find something and plop it in their lap and see what they do with it. So, I have
But we get to
de-identified.
talk to each other, so it's not a scam.
That, yes, that's true. And this offer will not expire. We're good. So, but yeah, so today's prompt is, am I the asshole for asking my husband to turn down his dream job for my career?
Ooh, tell us more.
Yeah, maybe, maybe not.
So this didn't exactly go the way I thought it would, which is often my favorite when it's just more complex than initially assumed.
Mhm.
So the
It's true
poster,
for life in general, by the way.
yes.
Just
So the
saying.
poster identifies as 30 something female, and she says, I am the breadwinner in our family, working in a highly specialized niche field where I make over $200,000 with potential to earn much more. My company survived COVID without huge cuts, but we're under constant scrutiny and secrecy. My husband, who's slightly older than me, left his job right before the pandemic and has been hunting ever since. He finally landed an
Wait,
interview at
wait, wait,
his
wait, wait, wait. Just for the record, for our listeners, that's 5 years.
correct.
Or this was posted recently enough that now that we've covered 5 years of time where this person's been searching for a job.
Yes.
Oh
Okay,
wow.
I just wanted to set. I
Yep.
just want to level set with that. With what we're talking about here. So
Yep.
looking for 5 years. Okay, keep going, Michael.
Yep. So he finally landed an interview at his dream job, but the problem is there are a couple problems. One, it pays only $65,000, and worse, the organization is essentially an enemy of my company. In my industry, even the appearance of conflict of interest would permanently destroy my reputation. Imagine if I'm working to protect the celebrity's privacy while my spouse works at TMZ, that kind of level of conflict of interest.
Fair.
Even if I trust him, my clients and bosses would not necessarily. This field is the only place my skills are viable. So if he took the job, we'd be living on his salary and I would be out of a job. I realize it's his dream position, which is great. However, financial stability is important as well. I've asked him to step back, reminding him that he could take other jobs, go back to school, or even continue to be unemployed while I carry us. I'm making more than enough. But working on his salary alone would be impossible. He accused me of being selfish, continued the process behind my back, and ultimately accepted their offer. At that point, I told him that he had to decline with me present or move out immediately and we'd divorce. I even alerted my higher ups to protect myself. I feel awful. I love him, but I'm also moved decisively to protect my career, our livelihood, and honestly, our future. He says I'm heartless and money obsessed. Maybe I am, but am I the asshole to prioritize my one chance at stability over his dream?
There are a lot of problems here.
There's a lot to unpack with this. Absolutely.
Oh, and I'm just going to start with this is not their first argument of this sort. This is not the
Mhm.
first time he finds her to be money obsessed and that she is focused on a bigger picture to the exclusion of the we in this relationship.
I actually like. This is gonna sound. I'm right now, right 100% on OP side, and I find the actions of the husband to be completely and entirely out of line. Like
I
I am
am
taking
with
big
you
time, I'm
to a
taking big
point.
time sides on this. Like
You are.
I think she's spot on 100% right, and he's 100% wrong.
Nope. I disagree with you.
I
In
get
the
it.
percentage assigned, he
99% I'll go with.
he was
Apart.
absolutely in the wrong. If he knows his wife's world, he knows that this is a competitor, the TMZ, whatever, right? Should not have even applied, shouldn't have taken the interview, certainly shouldn't have accepted the job. Where I think this is a problem is she threw the D word into the conversation. We are going to divorce if you don't leave this job. I cannot imagine a job in which I would rather stay in the job than married. That says that there is a problem in the relationship.
Here's why I think she's not out of line. We've talked before about ultimatums and when an ultimatum's appropriate. If my partner says to me, I'm going to do this thing that's going to bring about dramatic harm to you and bring about dramatic harm to our relationship and our ability to survive and pay our bills, and I'm going to do this, I don't think it's out of line for her to say, I can't be with someone who would cause me so much harm and who would lie to me as part of that. And as such, if you choose to do this, I can't stay with you and I would have to get a divorce. I don't think that's out of line in this particular case because it's not about
And I don't
money.
think that's the way she said it.
Uh, she may have said it inartfully, and that's the part that's a small percentage her part. I changed my, as we were talking, I'm like, okay, maybe not 100% her, maybe like 98% she's right. Perhaps she handled it inartfully, but I don't think it's out of line to say to someone, if you're going to lie to me, betray me, harm our family, and harm me for your own, for your best interests, I'm not willing to stay in that relationship. And I don't think she's out of line for saying I'm not I would get a divorce if you chose to take this job. I really
I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Where I am
but
troubled and where I am troubled is the fact that and I agree that the bright line needs to be drawn. I am really reluctant to throw out divorce until you are really ready to take that path. And because I don't think this is their first go at a rodeo, I suspect that there's a lot of water that's under this bridge. And so maybe she really is at this point of divorce. And I'm not even saying that she shouldn't say, that's it, this is the final straw, I'm going to divorce. Where I find it problematic is that we're not addressing the underlying issue. We've gotten no closer to understanding the dream here. If this couple were walking in my office, right, and we had an opportunity to do some therapy with this couple around this
Mhm.
issue, I would want to look at the dream within this conflict. I mean, he has a dream career here, and she is wanting to protect what they have. And I agree with her perspective in the sense of her salary sounds like it is really protective for their family unit and their way of life. And, in terms of like, I don't know, right and wrong, like I want to see her keep her career. I don't even have a problem with her saying to her manager, like, hey, by the way, I'm going through some stuff at home right now. And if I want to get in front of this and I want to let you know my husband has accepted this position, but there is just an issue here to work on and understand, because he does have a dream at stake. And I think it's a bit problematic and dismissive to just say, like, too bad, so sad. I would like to have seen them talk about this and even him come say, like, I really think I have a good shot at this position. And, I understand that with your role, this is really problematic. Do you think there's any way that we could work on having kind of a yes and here, or a both? Or, like, I just don't think that they had a conversation about it. And
Oh
that's
no,
my that's
you're
my annoyance with the wife, is that lack of conversation, and maybe annoyance with him too. Now, don't get me wrong. I think he is way more wrong than she is. I just don't think she's an entire rose.
yeah, there so you're correct in I think saying that the real conversation here, the real question should have taken place a few weeks ago.
Absolutely.
Like the
Absolutely.
place for this conversation is several weeks ago. Like let's talk about how we're going to manage this situation. Um, there was a missed opportunity a few weeks back to talk about this. And where I'm getting tripped up here is that he at least per her story here, he lied to her.
Big deal. I mean,
And
that is a
that's
really
and
big
that's
deal.
and that like he lied to her. And there are situations in which a person has a dream, and that dream can only be realized by harming the other person. And if your dream harms your partner, like, I look at it like I have the right to smoke. I don't, but I have the right to smoke. But I don't have the right to smoke around someone else and harm them in my choices.
I
And he has the right, he can take his
yeah,
dream job, but he's going to harm his wife and his family as a unit if he does that. Now
right.
she's potentially harming him by preventing him from getting his dream job. Um, but that line got crossed by going behind the back
I
by the
totally
lie.
agree.
And if I am still unconvinced, and I think she is virtually 100% in the right by saying I can't stay with someone who's going to cause such harm and such danger to my world and our world as a couple. And I remain I remain unmoved on this issue. So
Awesome. And I am a little troubled at pitting the profession, the job, against a relationship,
I don't think that, no,
family.
no,
And no,
he did that, not her.
I'm not asking you to agree or not agree. The way this is phrased in the post, it is troubling that I don't know. I don't like the feel between the choice between a job, something
Hmm.
you don't probably intend to do for the rest of your life. Yet when you got married, or decided to partner, you did so with the intention of doing it for the rest of your life. I'm troubled that these two things are getting pitted against each other. I'm not saying she should leave her high paying job or
Hmm.
career and let him, foster his. I'm not back in the 1950s, people. I really am not, but I am troubled at that hierarchy and the way this narrative is being told. It's pitting those two things. And I think they both have room to grow and think about what is the kind of life we want to construct. Now, I don't think they should live on $65,000 a year. That's really difficult to do. I don't want to see her give up her career. And yet I do take issue that there's no other industry. I just think we've gotten into some absolutes. And I agree. And I really agree. He betrayed, he harmed the relationship by lying and being sneaky, and quite frankly, was looking for forgiveness instead of permission. I just am troubled with the framing around this.
Yeah, I'm not as much troubled by it.
Okay.
I'm still in this situation, um, there is some pragmatism that she's being, yes, she's focused on self and her career, and I think being more pragmatic.
For
I'm
sure.
and I don't I think we're seeing this a bit differently. I don't frame this around her placing her career above him, above his career, or putting
Mhm.
her career above the relationship. I'm framing her as putting the relationship above putting the relationship at the highest level, and him placing the job and the career above the relationship, because he's taken by going behind her back and applying for this job and then accepting it without having a conversation with her, knowing the severe impact on her. He has said this job is more important than our relationship. She has said, I want us to survive as a couple. I want us to do well together. Here are all the ways in which I'm willing to do this, including continue to carry you and carry us together. She's placing the relationship above the job, and he's placing the job above the relationship. So the objection you have to her comments, I see pretty much exactly 180 degrees flipped. and see him as the one who's putting the job ahead of the relationship and putting the dream ahead of instead of them. And I
I
see her
think
as
they're
doing it
both
the other way
putting
around.
the
Yeah.
careers of the relationship.
Yeah,
I
I'm going to
think
disagree.
they
I'm still going
both
to disagree
lost
too.
that thread.
I apologize, Gail. It's unfortunate that you're wrong in this situation.
No. You've misinterpreted my intention. I think they both put the jobs and the careers above working together. And unfortunately, sometimes in relationships, you look at what's in front of you. And again, I'm not saying she should leave her job. It sounds like it is very stable
Right.
and a good, hopefully a good thing for her. And I just think when you navigate a relationship and you create a family, you also have to think about what's workable and what's practical. Now, again, he's been without a job for 5 years. I am not suggesting she give up that job so that he can go back to work. I'm not. I think we get a little lost in our identities of what we do. Hi, my name is Gail. I'm a psychologist. Like,
Mhm.
what would I do if for some reason being a psychologist was at odds with something that my husband would want to do? Would I give that up? Maybe, probably
Well,
not.
but
My skill set would be
it's
little
a
used
couple.
elsewhere, but it would be a couple's discussion. And I
There
think
are
we've gotten lost here.
Yeah, there are jobs that even if a dream is a couple's decision, and it's I run for office, political office twice. The decision to run for office means if I were to run if I'm running for office, that decision means that I have to ask my family to do something that is going to be incredibly time consuming for them. With our political climate, maybe even potentially dangerous. And if I get it, it's a job interview that when I did it last time, like I'm interviewing with 40,000 people, trying to convince more than 20,000 of those people to say, yeah, this guy is better than the other person. And if I get this job, I will get $45,000 a year, which is what the state of Minnesota pays legislators. Which I'm not to brag as a clinical psychologist, I do better than that. Um, so that would be something that can only be done while I've always dreamed of being in, making a difference by getting a chance to be a lawmaker and be part of the process of influencing all sorts of things in our state. That's a decision I can't make or could never make unless my partner was on board with it. And to do that behind her back, even if it's the dream job, even if I had like, oh, Dan Kessler is guaranteed to get elected, it would still be something that could only be done with my partner because it has such a dramatic and grave impact on her. And that's the way I see this. This guy is taking this thing that has a massive impact on his partner, causes her to lose everything she's worked for, and he's doing it behind her back without having a conversation. Or after they've had the conversation and she said, if you do this, it's going to completely fuck my career and
I
cause
agree.
us to not be able to afford our bills. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. No,
And
I remain 100% in her corner on this.
I don't disagree with anything that you've had to say.
Well,
I
that's good.
just am saying that I think that there is enough water under the bridge where they have not navigated conflict well. And if what
We
her
don't know that. We don't know that. Maybe they've
not,
navigated conflict terrific.
not if this is the reaction. If he is behaving in this way, this is not a new set of behaviors. Otherwise, she's like, really, man? We have
Now you're
something to
going
talk about.
now you're going
She
beyond the
threw
scope of the
divorce
thing.
out, Dan. She decided that this was it.
Appropriately so.
This is the straw. I'm going to divorce you over this.
Appropriately so.
That is not a first conflict.
But yeah,
That is not a first volley. You
So-
cannot tell me that your wife would run for political office and you're like, no, babe, like that's a
Well,
lot.
no,
I've been there, done that. And then she comes home and says, I did it anyway, and you throw down divorce. That's not gonna happen as your
actually,
fight ever.
I'm gonna respectfully again disagree with you because if I sat down with my wife and she said, given everything going on in the political world, given everything going on in our world and our life, I'm not okay with you running for office again. I can't abide by that. I can't be part of that. With everything going on, I cannot be part of that. And then I went and I registered anyway to run for office. And she came back to me and said, I told you I couldn't be part of that. You did it anyway. I'm not willing to be with you if you don't rescind your application. I think she's within her right to do that. So I'm going
She's
to tell
absolutely
you
within
that
her right, but I also
if that
think that there
happened,
would be a big myth.
that doesn't necessarily mean we've ever had this before. If I tomorrow did this, I think I think she had every right to say to me, drop out of the race or drop out of our marriage.
And I think
I
as a
don't think it's
psychologist,
that
you have
hard.
to believe in a couple's ability to navigate through that and say, wait, okay, there's a bigger issue here. Let's talk about it. Let's work on it. I don't.
Well, are there deal breakers in relationships? We've talked about deal breakers with people. What if one person wants kids and can't imagine life without children, and the other person doesn't want to have kids?
Sure, but it's not just one conversation.
I've worked with couples where it was.
All
I've
right.
worked with couples who got
I think
along
that's
great,
unfortunate, and I think
but he wanted.
that's
I can think of. I don't think this is PHI because it's distant enough in the past and it's generic enough. But I worked with a couple where he couldn't imagine not having children and living the rest of his life with no kids. She absolutely 100% did not want to have kids. Both are within their rights. She shouldn't be forced to raise children if she doesn't want to, and he shouldn't be forced to be childless. They got along famously with everything but this one issue. Sometimes there are deal breakers in relationships that there isn't a compromise. There isn't a win-win for I want kids, like a dog isn't going to cut it. And
I just don't
this
think
kind
that
of thing
this
can
is
happen.
I just don't think this is that. I think this couple has had longstanding problems in communication. He is absolutely in the wrong for having elevated his desire to finally be employed. Remember, he's been unemployed for 5 years. He's made a grave error here. And I just would have liked to see her navigate that a little bit differently.
Okay, here's our completely unplanned mailbag question.
Yes.
Gail and I usually agree
We can
pretty
usually find a
strongly.
place.
We
Yeah.
usually, this is one of the few times we've really disagreed.
And Dan, I
Mailbag,
think you
folks,
are
speak up and tell us.
the emotion of the disagreement. Let me be very clear here. You have said you agree with her about 99%.
Okay,
And
98.
there's a small smidgen of like, nah. I am mildly annoyed with her. And for the sake of the discussion, I'm willing to take that position a bit. But I don't want to leave this conversation without saying he has a lion's share of responsibility here. There is one piece that I don't love in terms of how she handled it. And so if I were going to assign percentages, like I'm happy with where she's at, like probably even as much as 90 to 95%.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
really
All
am
right.
far more in the corner than I think I'm being painted. And
Right.
I really think he is very
So
wrong here.
we're largely in agreement.
They're largely in
The
agreement.
difference is
And
that I am offering her total absolution,
And
you
I
like to
think
make
you
some
got to
changes.
be
Okay.
really freaking careful when you
That's
throw
fair.
out that divorce word.
That's
That is not to be taken lightly, and I want to impress
all
on.
right. I will go along with that. I will go along with that with that perspective that our difference really isn't in who's right and wrong overall.
No,
Our difference is that you're not happy with my giving her total absolution.
yeah, I don't think she has total absolution. I think the way she handled it was poor. And yes, did I emphasize that? Yes, because there's very little to pick on otherwise.
Yeah. He's the
It's
asshole.
very black and white for her, and he
Mhm.
must know that. I find that troubling that he would even pursue this.
Yeah.
And
Michael.
couples
sorry.
can navigate these
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
You know,
Michael, what'd the internet say?
Wow, I was gonna say, Jesus, it took us 80 episodes to get to the point of like intense disagreement over a small piece, admittedly, but important piece. So that was fantastic to listen to. I enjoyed it anyway. Let's see. So the internet, let's see. I'll stick with the percentages. 80% not the asshole. And essentially that argument went with you did exactly what any rational person would have done. Your stake, livelihood, or your career, your livelihood, and family stability are at risk, and you need to do everything you can to support all those things. And then most of those also had a men aren't the default supporters of marriage contingent to the argument as well.
We just assumed that. We didn't have that discussion. That
Yeah.
really didn't come up much because Gail and I are lockstep on that.
Yeah.
10% said everybody sucks here. You both mishandled communication and trust, which I have a harder time seeing what she didn't communicate effectively.
I think that's
Uh,
Gail's like she shouldn't have thrown out the D word or been so absolutist as like what Dr. McBride would say, I think, to that. Would you
Yeah.
sound accurate?
Yeah.
and
You're
then
not right about it,
But again, I wouldn't even, I really don't have a whole lot of issue other than the swiftness with which she dropped that D word and like threatened to like pack his bags and toss him out the front door.
yeah, totally.
and then here's the remaining 10%, which is you are the asshole. Ultimatums and lack of compromise are too extreme. You need to soften that approach.
Unfortunately,
So-
here there isn't a compromise. I kept looking for an opportunity for
Yeah.
this couple to create a win-win, and unfortunately, it really isn't. He's going to get his dream job at 65K, and she's going to have to take another job. That's a losing
Yeah.
position, and I don't like that at all, because then it really does put her career as a secondary consideration, and I'm not comfortable asking a woman to do that.
Yeah, and you underscore something, Gail, that's really important, that when we're working with couples, we're almost always trying to find not compromises, which means both people give something up, but win-wins where both people get their needs met, both people get what they want. And yes, I think in this situation, I was also desperately in my head trying to find a win-win, even though I don't think she's out of line. But there wasn't I couldn't see a win-win, and I also are the folks talk about not having ultimatums. I think there are places like an ultimatum is really for you truly can't. Like they're often seen as or often or commonly used as manipulation.
Mhm.
But not all ultimatums are manipulation. I mean, if you're not willing to do this, I can't stay married to you. I'm unwilling to be married to someone who, and we see this sometimes with substance abuse or gambling. I am unwilling to be with someone who is doing that until if you don't go for treatment, I'm gonna leave you and end the marriage. That's a very appropriate ultimatum. Like
Yeah.
I think not immediately. I don't think it's at the place. I don't think that's step one, but there does reach a time when it's appropriate to say, like, I can't be with you if you're still gambling, or I can't be with you if you're still drinking.
And I think you really distilled for me like where I'm most troubled, because it felt like sort of step one. It wasn't.
Mhm.
I mean, they did have some other conversations, but it did feel a little step one. And there are just non-negotiables, and typically that's not one's job or career. And
Yeah.
so this, to me, perhaps even my reluctance was because we are being asked to consider that the non-negotiable here is a job or career. Substance use, affairs, things like that are usually the hard nose, not usually one's job, which is a little troubling.
Right.
Usually a bit more flexible.
Yeah, and we agreed.
And I do wonder what would have happened if Michelle Obama had won the argument and Barack never ran. Because she has publicly sort of said, like, I didn't want this, and he did it anyway.
Yeah, and I have the question there. Is it I didn't really want this. He did it anyway. But like, is there? And I don't know if enough about this. Did he go completely behind her back?
I
Did they
don't
have?
think he went behind her back. I think it was very transparent. I'm going to do it anyway, babe.
I'm gonna. Yeah, this is important. And it may have been for him. Like I
And
am
he will say
unwilling.
he's selfish, and
Yeah,
that
I
was
am
the decision he made. But that's
well. I am unwilling to give up this,
mm,
and I'm willing to risk the harm to my marriage. And if that's what he said, and she was in the end decided that it wasn't a deal breaker for her,
it
then she
wasn't a deal
decided it
breaker.
wasn't a deal breaker for her, and he ran despite the fact that she didn't want to.
Yeah.
But those are also those. There may be situations in which she would have been very within her right to say, I don't want to be married to the president of the United States,
Yeah. Well, and it's
and
interesting
and
too,
I'm
because
not
if
willing to
you
say so.
are
That's
CEO
fine.
of a large corporation and you're never home because you're working, that becomes a deal breaker, right? I don't ever see you. That's a deal
I
breaker. I
my
kind of get
practice.
it. I just struggle
Yeah.
more in this particular instance.
No, my practice, I see a lot in my practice, a lot of men in business situations who have really harmed their marriages through overwork. Not that women don't do it too, it's just that's the folks I see a lot. And then it's how do you work around this desire to be in this very busy, high end, very demanding career and want to still have a marriage? And how do you find a balance between those two? And there is for some people a point that they say, this is not like I have to give up one of these two. and which one do I want to give up?
Yeah.
So
Anyway, very interesting. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you both for a lively debate. And remember, morality is often shades of gray and not just take the job or not, I guess.
And I'll say it again, just be really thoughtful when you decide to declare an end to a marriage or a relationship. Be really certain, because if you cry wolf, your partner is not going to trust you again. So
well,
you must say it with thoughtfulness, and if that's how you really
and
feel, then intention to move forward if necessary.
ultimatums do carry a price. If you and they're not inappropriate to provide at times, but they
Right.
carry a price, and each ultimatum should be seen as something that is incredibly expensive.
I like that.
And do I want to spend this kind of money on this? I think this is a valuable. I personally think in this situation she was spending her money wisely, but I could certainly see how the argument can be made that she was premature in her expenditure. So
Yeah.
I found middle ground.
Please follow and share Veritas views on the podcast platforms, the neighbors and friends, and as always, stick around through the credits. We'll have some other bonus conversation.
You can follow Dr. Dan Kessler at Dr. Dan Kessler and Dr. Gayle MacBride at Dr. G. MacBride. Oh, and you can find them both at veritaspp.com. Credits. Tickling the Ivories, Matthew Reddington. Art, production, and design, bringing this show together with flair and finesse, Michelle Love. Recording and editing, turning chaos into something worth sharing, Michael MacBride. Intro, outro, I'm Kelly Buttrick, a VO talent who just happens to be Dr. MacBride's cousin. Cats, CJ, Linus, Sadie, and Griffin. Hosting by whomever lost the coin flip. Interruptions by all their children. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listening to this podcast does not constitute a therapist-client relationship. If you believe you may be experiencing a mental health issue, please seek the assistance of a qualified mental health professional. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, you can call or text 988 from anywhere in the U.S. to be connected to Crisis Mental Health Services.
Thanks for listening. As promised, here's the bonus conversation.
Dan, is there something in your day-to-day working world, working life, that you have that you think makes your day just a little easier, better? Is it a hack? Is it a tool? Is it an item? What is something in your world that makes your day, your professional life, a little easier, a little better?
A comfortable chair.
Mm.
I sit all day long. I try to stand when I can. This is a comfortable chair. It makes life better. It makes life easier. There are things that are just worth, and even better, I got it secondhand off Facebook Marketplace, so it wasn't even that expensive. So
That's awesome. But and considering you spend how many hours with your ass on that chair a week?
I do. There's a lot of this. This chair gets a lot of workout, and I'm just happy. I think a good, comfortable chair.
Threshold or a template that you use for an expenditure like that? Like as a woman, if I'm going to buy an outfit or an item of jewelry or something, I often think $1 a wearing or $1 a use, right? And so if it's something that is a little spendier, like, I don't know, a handbag or something, I think about it and I think, okay, but I'm going to use this every day or glasses is a good example, right? I'm going to wear these every day for a year or more. $300, maybe that doesn't bother me as much as, $300 for something I'm going to wear once.
Yeah, I don't know that I have
You don't have that template?
No.
All right. Well, another mailbag question. What is your template to decide if something is worth the spend or not? It thematically ties to the episode. You're welcome.
Yeah, and you can't see my office, but the two things that work the most for me is I have kind of a wall of art that inspires me throughout the day, and out the other side, I have a hummingbird feeder, which I enjoy watching as well. So
wonderful.
And you didn't even get to the I don't sit all day bit.
It's
Oh,
true.
the sit-stand desk.
The
Yeah.
sit-stand desk has been my expenditure this year. And so I will alternate visits. Some are standing and some are sitting.
Yeah. So definitely let us know what helps get you through your day. And if you have that metric of how you justify an expense or think about it to help you make that decision. But thanks for tuning in. Tune in again next week for a whole nother Am I an Asshole debate.
We love hearing from you, so please review us on Apple, Spotify, or, well, wherever you're listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please review, like, and follow. Also, give it a share. This helps us reach more listeners.